amazing, amazing, well done writers, well done actors. You've brought us the Star Trek that we should have had a while ago. So this is my spoiler-filled reflection of the first episode of Star Trek Picard. STP. Not bad. I mean, it's certainly better than STD. And I will be complaining a bit about STD, I suppose. I watched a few episodes, I think a couple episodes of it, and it just was bad. And I guess they've gotten a little bit better, but just not, I don't like it. I don't like the messaging of it. The changes that they've made to Klingons and all this other stuff that they did just don't make sense. They were trying to have it in Abrams' universe, but not, and it's just the whole thing is a very confusing thing. And of course, they have the very strong feminist motif. They have the two women talking about nothing that has to do with men or relationships, because that's important to do or whatever. And so they don't focus on character. So I don't like that series. If you do, fine, whatever. They have done a series of short treks, like mini episodes, and one of those you don't really need to watch it apparently, but it is, if you do watch it, then you get a little bit of prequel-ish backstory to Picard episode 1, and that I feel, they're trying to pull you to watch Discovery via that, because these are tangentially connected to Discovery, I guess. But thankfully, you don't need to watch that episode to enjoy Picard episode 1. I only know about it because I read stuff about Picard after watching the show and saying, "Oh, okay, all right, I see. I would love to watch that now too," but I haven't been able to find it to watch it. So, yeah. No, it's about Star Trek Picard, not beings. So, wrong web series there, Johnny. Okay, so Star Trek Picard. The introduction of this is brilliant, because you're put right into Picard talking with Data. Two characters that if you watch TNG, you love, and you want this relationship. You miss it, and killing off Data, you don't like. I didn't like that, and nobody, I don't think, liked that. And we all wanted Data to come back through B4 or some other way. I thought Q could just come and get Data back. That would be an easy way to do it, of course. But regardless, this turns, so there's Picard talking to Data and playing a game of poker, and they're on the Enterprise D, and then Mars is outside the window, and then it kind of explodes, it looks like. And he wakes up and it's a dream. So Data is appearing to Picard through dreams. And this might be there. I think there might be more of a reason to this than just good storytelling. I think that again, spoilers abound. So if you haven't watched the first Picard episode yet, go watch it. Get out of here, because I'm going to spoil all of it. But at any rate, so Data being part of Picard's dream, I think, might also have to do with the link that Data's daughter has to Picard. that he's implanted that in her, however you want to think about that. And maybe then Picard also has something in him that is connecting him to her in some way. After all, there might be some Borg tech still in him somewhere from when he was assimilated. We don't know. And we learn a lot of great stuff through exposition that's done really well, because they have an interview with Picard that, because it's the anniversary of this incident. And so through that, you get a lot of backstory of what happened. And that's very organic. The introduction of this girl happens in a very interesting way, where you're introduced to her. She's in this relationship. You just get to know this character. It just starts developing. And then her boyfriend's killed. She's killing all these guys, and she takes off. Now, I think that they did make a misstep in one way here, because she runs off and, then goes into hiding, calls her mom, which maybe she doesn't even really have a mom. Maybe all that's in her mind. I'm not sure. But then she goes back to Picard, and then they're running away from the bad guys, who then kill her off. But she should be the protagonist, because she doesn't know what's going on. She's learning what's going on as we're learning what's going on. But then, we're told that she's a twin, so she's a twin sister, and there's a sister, and she's meanwhile with the Romulans and the Romulans messing about with Borg technology. Oh, that can't end well for anybody. And although the Borg aren't really a threat anymore, thanks to Voyager, pretty much. So the Romulans have captured a Borg cube, and there are no Borgs in it. So they're using their technology to heal their own people and maybe enhance them and stuff like this. And that seems like an interesting use of Borg technology, if you can get rid of the side effect of the link and disable that with, it's not that insanely difficult to do. There's enough knowledge that the Romulans could gather to be able to do that, since there have been drones unhooked from the link before, and maybe they even have help. So from 7, maybe, who knows? But I do understand why the twin is then the one that's kind of now a MacGuffin, that Picard has to go get her and protect her, because he already saw one of them killed, and it's like, I failed to protect her. And I'm just like, but what, other than to get some exposition to us and get the ball rolling, the call to adventure, I think that I'd rather have stayed with that character that doesn't know what's going on, that's being introduced to this reality as Picard is, and rather than, but they could have still had a MacGuffin as well, so they could have had two things going on parallel. Maybe she's not dead, though, because they're saying, with Bruce Maddox's theory, which might actually have worked, and Maddox might have actually made these twins, that if you even have a bit of positronic chip or memory or anything of the positronic, that you could reconstruct everything from that. So even if it appears that this other one's dead, if you just get like a little teeny tiny microscopic bit of her, you can, with the right equipment, remake her in full. So maybe it's a temporary death, possibly. Or maybe it just looks like she's being killed, and they take her away, or any number of possibilities. But if it turns out she is actually dead, I guess that is what it is. But I do think that's a misstep a little bit, because I was just getting interested in that person. Now I have to get interested in the twin, who already knows a lot of things. It seems like she already knows kind of what's going on. She knows that she has a sister. She is part of the Romulan / Borg thing going on. So she already knows a lot of things, and I'd rather have the one that doesn't know anything. But it's really Picard that is going on this journey, and that's what the story is about more than the girl, although that is also the story as well. Having it be Data's daughter, and having that there's this essence of Data in her, that you could maybe even make another Data from, is amazing as an idea. And the opening of Picard, there's this glass. What I thought is like the sky is also glass. So we're thinking of the dome, how people have had the dome of the Earth, but the glass shatters and a piece falls down, and it falls through Borg ship, and then it morphs into what looks like maybe Borg DNA, and then it morphs again, and then it's a piece of skin that attaches to Picard. So when they're talking about the idea that Maddox's theory is that one little piece of this of the neural net can be taken to be reassembled to be the Data again, that here you have this little piece that's connecting everything together and reconnecting Picard, who is broken, into being whole again, because he left Starfleet behind once this whole war / rescue was going on, which I think is skimmed over a bit too fast. What happened with Mars, and there's a war going on, and there's synthetics that are rebelling, and then Picard's trying to get Starfleet to rescue all the Romulans because their sun's going to go supernova, and so they blame him of diverting resources to that rather than fight this war. And then when that falls to the synthetics and Mars starts burning, which is why in the dream it looked like Mars was exploding, and then Mars is on fire. The atmosphere of Mars has been on fire for years now, completely killing whoever was there, uninhabitable now. And he leaves Starfleet because Starfleet abandons its kind of one core principle, which is to help people and to explore, which also means exploring the idea of who our enemies are. Like, we got to think of this beyond in terms of black and white. The Romulans aren't enemies. They're living beings. And I think that's encompassed when Picard is saying, these Romulan lives. And he's like, no, just lives that were lost. There shouldn't be a distinction. And I don't know if that's a commentary on like Black Lives Matter stuff or whatever, but if it is, it's great that's there, because it's like there's no distinction between that life and some other life. All lives matter. So don't call it just Romulan life. Let's not make it a us-them thing, because it's life that's being lost, and that's valuable. So I'm just very impressed by the episode. I think that a lot of the exposition is done well. I other than the potential misstep, I want to see, where this goes. I want to see how Picard, gets, to find this McGuffin of the twin. there's a lot going on, and I want to see how this unfolds, and if they stick to the theme of broken becoming whole and everything being kind of connected and kind of going, here's a reflection of the past, here's the present, and here's the hope of the future. I think they're really, in this one episode, they've set that up. So if they keep that beat going, and so it becomes, it's not an episodic series. It's going to be, you need to know what happened the episode before. I think that's probably a good way to go. That way you can tell a complete arc of a story, and you could end it in maybe a couple seasons if you needed to, and then have another arc with a different story, because you have the synthetics were outlawed because they rebelled. Well, that seems like an overreaction, but it also is very human to panic and do that. And Starfleet's mostly run by humans, I would think, but you do get the sense of other cultures, and of course Picard helping the Romulans, another reconnecting that's there, because Picard was very much, you can't trust the Romulans, and that kind of echoes Kirk's thing with the Klingons. You can't trust them, and then Kirk coming to terms with the Klingons and making peace with them. So also in Picard, because he mind melded what's his name? Savick. He mind melded Spock. Sorry, that Spock wanted to reunify the Vulcans and the Romulans. So there's that too. So that's in Picard somewhere too. So they're the seed of wanting to help the Romulans is there in his brain somewhere, and then so him being able to help them is really interesting. Also, the Romulan sun going supernova, that basically says, well, what timeline are we in? Oh, geez. Well, we're kind of like they're trying to say that we're the J.J. Abrams timeline where Spock goes back because of the whole Romulan stuff and Vulcan and all that. Like, it's not saying that didn't happen, but it's not saying that it did. It's just like this event happens where the sun goes supernova, regardless of whether Spock goes back in time or not. And that no matter what, if he does or doesn't go back in time to change the original Trek stuff to what we saw in the movies, that none of that is supposed to affect the TNG stuff. But the universe constructed in the J.J. Abrams Treks is so different that I don't see how it could not affect TNG. But I mean, if that's their thing, saying, well, yeah, that's the timeline we're in, then that's, if that's the official stance, fine, whatever. But either way, I mean, I'd rather it be, we say, no, the Abrams stuff didn't happen, because I just don't like the movies that were made, except for the third one, the last Star Trek movie made in the Abrams thing was actually a movie. It was actually an original story. Wasn't a complete reboot that made no sense. It wasn't a mirror image of Khan. It was its own thing, and that made it interesting. And then kind of died off after that. So I think getting, leaving that behind and going with the prime universe that we've known is the way to go. But, it doesn't matter as long as this story is good. And just this episode, story's great. So I'm fine. Also, we don't have to know anything about STD. That's even great. That's even better. I think that they honestly, I think they should let SUD end and give up on that and let it die, because I guess it has fans. I don't. I guess. I mean, it just seems like it's, they're trying to salvage it, and but I just would let it go if it was me. I wouldn't have even done it in the first place if it was me, but you know. Chat is weird. So what else? I just think that they really made this with care, and I think that really shows in the first episode. It certainly starts strong, and you get a sense of Picard's age, but you also get to see Picard kind of like yeah, I'm old, but I can still do stuff, and this kind of idea of don't sit on your laurels, don't, even if something bad happens to you, or that you lose faith in, whatever, in this case, Starfleet, that you can still make a difference. Now he was writing and stuff, so that was making some difference, but to get out there and be proactive, you know, is a better way to do things. I think that that's a very good and very core Trek message, that exploration isn't just about space but also of yourself. um, I hope we see Q at some point, and if they did, I think it would be just to kind of like have Q say something about you finally get it now, or something like that or whatever. But if they don't have Q at all, that's also fine. I would totally understand why they might not want to have Q at all, because it's like you have a magical being that can do anything, and that's always a problem because it's such an easy thing to just be like, we'll fix everything. It's like I said with Q, if he brought back Data, it's too easy of a solution. Although it would work, but it's just, it's a Deus ex machina. It's just, it's just, it's too easy. And Q is really great when he's the judge, and rather than, um, just doing miracles because he can. So I didn't like how Voyager leaves Q, so I want him fixed. Maybe they'll have Star Trek Q. Who knows? I don't know. So I look forward to episode 2, and I'll do a reflection of episode 2. Whether or not people want to watch that on my channel, I don't know. But I'm gonna do it because I want to. So yeah, yay. So STP, well worth a watch. Um, can't wait to see what's next. So give me more now. Till next time, engage or something. I don't know. So, go watch it. I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't watched it yet, because I just spoiled the whole episode. So what's wrong with you? I don't know. What's wrong with any of us?